What's going on, traders? We got a few things to talk about. The focus of this video is going to be mostly Nvidia, but of course we're going to talk about NASDAQ, ES, SPY, all that fun stuff. So before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now, we're going to start with Nvidia. So Nvidia beat earnings. Surprise, surprise. They always beat earnings, but this time we actually get a move towards the upside, right? The last few earnings, if we go to the daily time frame, I mean, the last few earnings, you'll beat, you'll tank, or you'll just consolidate, or IV crush the whole planet, or, you know, you just don't get upside at all. So, you know, last earnings, we ended up tanking. The earnings before that, we ended up tanking, so on and so forth. So one thing I let Discord members know, because I wasn't interested in trading today until after Nvidia earnings. And one thing I said is that historically, whatever Nvidia does after its earnings, the day after its earnings, usually it continues that move, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. So for example, if we look at the last earnings, right? The last earnings, of course, it beat, but the market, for whatever reason, market makers decided to sell this thing off, right? So the day of earnings, you ended up forming a doji, you consolidated, and then the next day, you ended up tanking towards the downside, and you saw that continuation towards the downside for about a good solid week or two, right? I mean, even more than that, you saw a little bit upside, you retested, and then you broke down even further, right? Even the earnings before that, right, you tanked towards the downside, and you continued this downside for a few weeks or so. Earnings before that, same thing. You know, you tanked towards the downside, you continued, and then eventually, like a week later, you ended up pumping towards the upside. So Nvidia does have a habit, or historically has a habit of, the day after its earnings, it continues that move to whatever direction, right? So we're not exactly out of the ballpark, but I am going to assume that Nvidia is going to see more upside from here. Now, if we look at the Discord here, I showed Discord members two scenarios that Nvidia can play out, whether it can either tank towards the downside immediately for earnings, or it ends up going back towards 152, 153 as previous highs. And it looks like we're heading towards previous highs at this point. So I'm sure a lot of bulls, if you're in Nvidia right now, you're probably excited. We're seeing the NASDAQ go crazy after hours. So you're probably excited. I'm sure that's great news for you. But ultimately, we want to see us get above this key level right here before we get to jumping the gun. So I do encourage to trim some profit at open. If anything, ultimately do what you want. I'm not trying to give financial advice, but me personally, I would just look to take profit, like trim some contracts or something at open, and then possibly hold for a move higher, okay, or a potential move higher. Because if you look at the 4-hour time frame here, right now you're at resistance on Nvidia at around 142. So if Nvidia can get above 142 and actually hold, which I do think is very much possible, you definitely could see some type of move much higher. So you want to see a break, retest, and then from there you're looking at a move around 148, between 148, 153 being the highest, which will be at its previous highs. Okay. Now it's important to note that if you go to the daily time frame here, right, you're still under the rising wedge, believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds. You're still under the rising wedge. So, you know, I would tread lightly heading into tomorrow, because Nvidia does have a habit of doing, you know, a Uno reverse the day after. All right. I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen. In fact, I'm leaning more towards upside when it comes to Nvidia. Minimum I'm looking at is about 145. But if we're talking about, you know, previous highs, then we can definitely see a move towards 153, 152 range. So that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia right now. Again, we're still under this rising wedge, so we're not quite, you know, out of the bad territory or danger zone or anything like that. But things are looking good, especially if we can get above that 142 level. We get above 142, you're looking at a move towards 145. After that, you're looking at a move towards basically 150, and then previous highs at that point. So looking good. All right, really don't have anything bad to say. Another thing I let Discord members know, that depending on how tomorrow goes, because I didn't trade at all today, I just was not interested in trading. The market wasn't really doing anything. We just saw a bunch of consolidating. Well, depending on what Nvidia does tomorrow, let's say Nvidia continues towards the upside tomorrow, then I will be looking at calls. If it starts tanking towards the downside, then I'll be looking at puts, because historically, the day after whatever Nvidia does, it usually continues that move. All right, now it's not guaranteed, but if we're going off history and what we've seen in the past, that's usually how things go. So that's my thoughts on Nvidia. 142, your key level here. You get above 142, 145, 150, so on and so forth. You managed to break below 140. We saw Nvidia holding 140 after hours during its earnings or during guidance. Then you get back below 140, I would honestly say 139. You're pretty illiquid all the way back towards 137, 136 range. And then from there, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, things are looking good. So when we're looking at the NASDAQ, so the NASDAQ is looking really, really good. I'm not going to lie to you guys, okay? It's looking good for the bulls right now. Bulls are drooling at the mouth right now. But I feel like we've seen this before, and I just can't recall where we've seen this before. And I'm not even trolling. I really can't recall. I feel like this happened before, and then something bad happens. Okay, I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm jinxing it. Maybe it's just me being biased or something. But yeah, as long as the president doesn't say anything crazy, I can't lie. We're looking good. We're looking good for more upside here. Again, we're back within this rising wedge pattern, right? We broke within this rising wedge pattern, and the key level I told you guys was to look out for 21,430. We stayed above 21,430, and then from there you're looking at 21,500, and we broke back within this rising wedge. This is something I was talking about in the last video. If we can break back within this rising wedge, previous highs is definitely on the table. From here, we can be looking at a move towards 22K, 22,200, 22,300, and then from there, we'll have to wait and see what happens. So something like this, right where these guys are over here. So right here is what I'm looking at. So here we either, continue towards the upside, or for whatever reason, the president comes out and says something about chips all over again, or tariffs, because clearly this is a news-driven market at this point. As long as he doesn't say anything, as long as nothing crazy happens, it's looking good for more upside here. It's looking like we can see 22K, 22,300, which is our previous highs, if not higher. All right. So that's what I'm looking at for the NASDAQ right now. Again, I got nothing as far as downside. I really don't. Because if you look to the left, I tell you guys to look to the left, zoom out, look to the left all the time. I mean, here, we talked about this in the last video, here, and here, there's a lot of bulls in this area. They're holding this thing up, all right, at around 21,000, between 21,000, 20,800. A lot of bulls in this area, so it's going to take a lot to break us down at this point, like a lot to break us down. So we'll see. But again, I got nothing. I got nothing bad. Okay, you're very illiquid in this area, so it looks like we're going to move towards 22K pretty fast, which is kind of scary. Okay, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of scary. One thing we talked about in the last video or two is that historically short weeks are bullish. 4-day weeks are bullish. Holiday weeks are really bullish. And it looks like that's exactly what we're witnessing right now. So again, nothing bad. Looks like we're seeing more upside from here. 21,700 is your key level. Another key level. A lot of bullish wicks in this area. You stay above 21,700. Chances are you're heading towards that 22K level. Highs you're looking at is previous highs at around 22,300, 22,400 range. ES. So ES, yeah, same thing. Right now, ES is looking pretty good. It's looking okay, I guess. It's not. NASDAQ looks better. I mean, the tech sector is just carrying the crap out of the market right now. But one thing one thing I mentioned in the last video, sorry, got a little bit distracted there. But one thing I wanted to mention in the last video, or I did mention in the last video, I should say, 6K. All right, you want to see not only the NASDAQ hold 21,700, but you also want to see the ES get above 6,000. So you want to see us get above this trend line, break, hold, boom. Sky's the limit from there. So you're seeing a little resistance here as well. So right about here where these guys are, you're seeing a lot of resistance in this area. So you got double resistance right here. You got this trend line here. As you guys can see, I don't force these things. You bounced here. You also bounced here as well. So you bounced here, you bounced here, you bounced here. You broke down, retest, broke down some more. You retested again, broke down some more. Now you're retesting the bottom of this trend. So things are looking good for the tech sector, but I want to see the ES reclaim or claim 6K. Highest I'm looking at is about 6,030 for me to really be comfortable when we start going crazy, okay? If I miss out, I miss out. The market is always going to bless me with opportunities. It's always going to bless you with opportunities. But ultimately, we don't want to jump the gun just yet. We do have news in the morning. Market may not even care about it. We got GDP. We got a bunch of Fed members speaking tomorrow morning. So who knows? Market might not even care about it. For what we've been seeing for so far is that the market cares about tariffs, and that's it. Okay, that's all the market cares about. So we'll see. But ultimately, not looking bad. Okay, not looking bad. If you're talking about downside here, because we have to talk about downside, you're looking at 5,950. So right about where these guys are. Okay, so right about here, 5,950. From there, you're looking at a move towards 5,930. It's a pretty tight range. Okay, 5,900 ultimately is your key level here. That's the level of all levels. And then from there, you're looking at 5850. After 5850, you're dropping towards low 5700s at that point. All right, we're pretty far from there. I don't really see a reason for that to happen just yet. Maybe next week or something, but for now, since it's a short week and historically short weeks are bullish, it's really hard to be bearish. But don't jump the gun. You know, at least I'm not going to jump the gun. I want to see the ES reclaim this trend line. I want to see it reclaim this resistance here. But when we're talking about the NASDAQ looks beautiful. Okay, it looks great for upside. All right, you do got a little resistance here at around 21,800 as well. But assuming that I'm right, or assuming that I'm right about Nvidia, we can definitely see more upside. All right, and assuming that our president doesn't say anything else. I thought it was really crazy that that chip news released right before Nvidia earnings. What a bear trap that was. That was an insane bear trap. That was crazy. The fact that we got that chip news right before Nvidia earnings, they definitely want to shake a lot of bulls out of their position, because I imagine everybody was bullish on Nvidia earnings. So that was crazy. That was just crazy timing to me. All right, so let's talk about the SPY. So SPY, someone mentioned this in the Discord. You have a cup and handle here. All right, now it's not in play yet, right? It's not in play until the handle is broken. You haven't broken the handle, so I mean, but right now, SPY after hours, SPY is at 595. You're sitting right at the top of this handle. Okay, so you got your cup here, you got your handle here, which is a rising wedge, bull flag. You can also argue this is a not a bull flag, a bear flag as well. So you have your flagpole right here. So you know, be careful. Okay, be careful. I don't know if it's gonna play out. It doesn't have to play out, guys. All right, I'm just saying, be careful. All right, if you're talking about the measured move here, because you're sitting at resistance too at around 596, but if you're talking about the measured move here, all you do is measure the top of the cup all the way to the bottom of the handle, then you bring it to whatever breaking point, and you're looking at a move all the way down towards 564, which is crazy because 564 is where the gap fill is. All right, so be careful. Again, like I said, if you're in Nvidia earnings, or I'm gonna just say me, if I'm in Nvidia earnings, I'm trimming contracts immediately at open. Immediately. Again, Nvidia has a bad habit of doing the reverse the next day. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Again, things do look good when it comes to the NASDAQ. Okay, things do look good. But Nvidia has a terrible, terrible habit of doing the inverse the next day. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. All right, I don't want to be the reason anyone misses out on money. All right, so if you're in Nvidia calls, do your thing. All right, enjoy, have fun. All right, so triple Qs. I mean, 522. That was our key level. It destroyed that. Nvidia, thanks to Nvidia earnings, it blew past that. Not only that, but you're reclaiming this trend at this point. I see no reason why we can't see previous highs. Again, unless our president ruins it, I don't see a reason. Okay, maybe GDP ruins it, but I doubt the market even cares about that at this point. I will be surprised. Unless one of these Fed members say something crazy, I don't see a world where we just can't at least see 540, 538 at this point. All right, so, you know, things look good as far as Qs and Q. You want to see the SPY and ES kind of, you know, get some follow through, especially when you're talking about where the ES is. ES has yet to claim 6K. Not only that, but you have this, you know, somewhat of a cup and handle on the SPY. You're sitting at resistance at around 596, but I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to break out of here. All right, I do. All right, so, but don't take my word for it. Do your due diligence, do your research, all that fun stuff. Follow your own TA. If you don't believe in mine, that's fine. But yeah. Cup and handle looks solid so far, but I mean, given what we just got from Nvidia earnings and given what I'm seeing across the board, we can definitely break out of this area. So that's what I'm looking at for the SPY, triple Qs. We went over the triple Qs. Yeah, I think we're good on everything else. VIX. So I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. All right, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. If the VIX opens up at around 17 tomorrow, you might want to run for the hills. All right, look, take profit, do what you do your thing, whatever, or hold your plays. I don't care. Okay, at the end of the day, I don't care what you do. It's all on you. I'm just trying to, you know, do my best to help people. But at the end of the day, if the VIX is down here, filling this gap all the way at 17.5, you see it here. Let's zoom out. You see a bounce here. I'm trying to bring this over. You see a bounce here. You see a bounce here. You see tons of bullish momentum down here. Okay, a lot of bullish activity down here, guys. I'm just saying, I know a lot of people don't believe in the VIX, but I see a lot of people that trade the VIX in my comments. All I'm saying is, if the VIX opens up at 17, between 17.5 and 17, just be careful. Okay, just be careful. Lowest it can go. Okay, it can go much lower than that. All right, it can. All right, if we're talking about going lower from here, that was a little bit off, sorry. If we're talking about going a little bit lower from here, you're looking at about 17, 16.8. Ultimately, guys, just be careful. Okay, just be careful heading into tomorrow. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your plays or anything like that. All I'm saying is if it was me, because I know if you watching are in Nvidia calls. I know you're in Nvidia calls. I know you're drooling at the mouth. Wipe your mouth off, you freak. All right. I'm telling you tomorrow, you might want to trim some profit, okay? Pay yourself, and then just hold some contracts. Hold one or two contracts. You may go they may go crazy. Nvidia hits 150 or something like that. Boom, 100% profit. All right, 200% profit at that. If you're at like 140 or something, 140 strike. But pay attention to the VIX, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Pay attention to VIX. Pay attention to the ES. Pay attention to the SPY. All right, NQ, triple Qs, they look great. But we want to see some correlation across the board when it comes to the SPY and the ES. All right, semiconductor ETFs. I went out of order, I know, but you know, bear with me. Semiconductor ETFs. You're at a critical area right here. All right, SMH after hours is at 250. All right, 250. You're at a critical area right here. You want to be careful. Okay, you want to be careful. Maybe we blow past this, maybe we don't. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. All I'm saying is that you just want to be careful in this area. All right, you're sitting at this trend right here. So you know you rejected here, you rejected here, you did this bull trap here, you rejected here, you rejected here, and you're back here. You're back at this area all over again. Let's get rid of this. So you're right here, right under it. Okay, so this is why I'm encouraging myself, all right, to take profit at open. All right, you ain't got to listen to me. I'm just a chihuahua with oven mitts on, all right, behind the computer. All right, that's what you're listening to right now. You should feel ashamed of yourself. All right, but ultimately, SMH is at, SMH is at a critical area. Nvidia is at a critical area. Nvidia is like 142. Maybe it blow past that or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, you just want to be careful here. All right, you want to be careful. You want to pay yourself at open. All right, we're just going to speed run through a few things. Apple. Someone asked me to go over Apple. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Our Discord bot alerted 205 calls on Apple, and I wanted to take them, but I was so hesitant to take them. I should have just took them. It is what it is. It's all hindsight. There's going to be plenty of other opportunities, but I wanted to take Apple calls, and I even alerted to Discord members like, hey, right here, what did I say? So a few plays I am looking at, depending on Nvidia earnings, whatever direction Nvidia goes after its earnings, historically it continues that direction for a while. Now I'm looking at Tesla to the downside, like massive downside to low 300s. Obviously IWM back to 180s and Google back to down to 150s. If the market remains bullish after today and continues into Thursday, Apple calls and Microsoft calls. Patience will pay off. Trust. So yeah. So people think I'm a perma bear, and that's fine, but I actually do look at calls. It's just what the market, I just go with what the market gives me. And Microsoft, another play I was looking at, probably blew through the roof, especially since Nvidia went crazy. So yeah, Microsoft, I believe Microsoft is probably going to continue to head higher. You're looking at about 475, something like that. I mean, right here where these guys are actually. So yeah, we're on a daily time frame. So right about here is what I'm looking at for Microsoft, about 468, 470. And then from there, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I believe like 465 calls came in from Microsoft as well. So I do believe this thing is going to continue to head higher. So things are looking great. I mean, I got nothing bad to really say right now. Nothing bad at all. IWM Russell. The IWM Russell is still under resistance right now, or somewhat under resistance. But like I said, I'm going to stop out of those. I gave the option to take profit before close to Discord members. A lot of them didn't do that. That's fine. They chose to, stick it out, and that's fine. But we won't be down too bad, depending on how we open tomorrow. But yeah, we got in at around 207.5. IWM is at 209. It is what it is. Losses happen. It's not going to be a terrible loss. It's not the end of the world. It was all the way for June 20th anyway, but we were in profit. I gave the option to take profit before close, and yeah, your opportunity to take profit on IWM puts here at 1.08 or continue to hold, and I'm still holding. So I'm not too heavy into the play or anything like that. I let that be known. But yeah, IWM, I mean, if the market continues to head higher and maybe Nvidia just starts, you got this inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, we'll see. But heading into tomorrow, the main thing I'm going to be focused on is the VIX. I want to know where the VIX is. tomorrow. If it's in the low 17s, 16s, probably not going to be interested in calls at that point. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, because at this point we gapped up so much. Like, if you look at the SPY daily time frame, look how many times we've gapped up towards the upside. Like, so if the VIX is like at 18, 19 still, which I doubt it's going to be, but if it is, then yeah, I'll definitely be interested in call still. But I mean, you gapped up so much when it comes to the overall market. You gapped up all the way until Nvidia earnings. You just kept gapping up. You gapped up here, you gapped up here, you gapped up here, and now you're gapping up again. And chances are we're going to see a move towards 605 at this point. All right, so yeah, that's another gap up, guys. So whenever the next correction happens, I mean, there's no way we're leaving all this behind. There's no way we're going to leave all this behind. If you believe that we're just going to keep pumping and pumping and pumping and just leave all of this behind, hey, by all means, do your thing. Okay, maybe you're right. Okay, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of gapping up that's been happening into this earnings. Right? And we still have two more events. We have an Apple event June 9th, and then we have Tesla Robotaxi. So I'm leaning towards July being the like correction of all corrections, like a drop of all drops. I was expecting a much bigger drop in May. It looks like we're not getting that. It's, what is it, May 28th? So we're chalking that. I'm wrong about it. Is what it is. Maybe June, but I'm assuming that Apple is going to continue to pump into that event June 9th, and then I'm assuming Tesla is going to start pumping into that the Robotaxi event, which is like at the end of the month or something like that. You may see a dip prior to that, but overall, I think everything is just going to continue to pump at this point. We'll see. But yeah, Apple 207 after hours. At this point, I do think Apple's going to head towards that gap fill all the way at 220. So I will be looking at 215 calls at open. Depending on how we open, I'll be looking at those 215 calls. So yeah, didn't trade much today. Discord link will be in the description below. I think this is IWM was our first loss this week. Our first loss since 2 weeks ago, I want to say. I might be wrong. Okay. But yeah, we've been on a win streak. All right. Believe it or not, as slow as we've been playing, I've been playing like 1 or 2 plays a day. I may miss a day or two if the market doesn't give me anything. But yeah, we've been on a crazy win streak. IWM might be our first loss. All right. It is what it is. It happens. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you're in Nvidia, okay? Let me know what you think about Nvidia. You're going to continue to stay in Nvidia, what you're going to do with your calls. You're going to, take profit. You ain't got to tell me any of that. It's up to you. But let me know what you guys think. What strike did you pick if you are Nvidia? I know some of you are Nvidia, all right? Don't be gatekeeping, okay? Don't be gatekeeping. But ultimately, yeah, that's really all I have. Conclusion, guys, be careful. Heading into tomorrow, take profit, trim some contracts if anything, and then see what happens with your runners. All right, and then set like a little trailing stop loss, all that fun stuff. But yeah, things look good. Really have nothing bad to say. Pay attention to the VIX, pay attention to the SPY, pay attention to the ES. NASDAQ looks fine, triple Qs looks fine, but you want everything to correlate, okay? You want everything to match when it comes to the market, because one can have bearish divergence, one can be bearish, one can be bullish, and then that creates bearish divergence or bullish divergence, whatever direction you're looking at. All right, overall, that's all I have for the video. If you're having trouble joining the Discord, I know a lot of you join and some of you just don't get the Discord link in your email. Feel free to email us. Website will be posted below. Email us, let us know. I sent a few people a Discord link personally for myself. So yeah, please let me know. I don't know why it randomly does that to some people. Maybe it's in your spam folder. Maybe you didn't check. But ultimately, if you don't get a Discord link, some of you just sit there for like 5 days and don't say anything. Like, say something, man. Say something. Even if you're saying something in the comments, let me know, okay? Say something, because I will check, all right? I do check the comments, all right? So please let me know. Don't sit in the middle of Narnia not telling me that you're not in the Discord, that you pay for the Discord, but you're not in. Like, come on, what are we doing? All right, so say something, communicate. We're adults here. But until the next video, traders, have a good one.